Hey, what's up guys? John here in Atlanta, Georgia. And Atlanta is the mecca for Wall Street firms to step in and acquire homes by the tens of thousands.
25 to 35% of the houses in this neighborhood are owned by Wall Street landlords.
The Atlanta area is one of the hottest markets for large financial firms.
In fact, they've purchased 65,000 houses here in the last 10 years, most of which was acquired from 2020 to now. This trend is only growing.
In January, 33% of all homes purchased in the U.S. were bought by investors, often Wall Street-backed companies.
Since the first day of 2024 until the last day of April, they acquired over $1 billion worth of single-family homes.
Firms on Wall Street are raising billions of dollars to acquire commercial real estate.
They're not buying, brand new $1 million homes like this that are brand new construction. No. They're buying the entry-level starter house. This entry-level starter house you could have acquired, maybe for $400,000, $450,000 in 2019. Now that's almost $1 million home. Home prices in Atlanta have picked up 57% since 2020. And the more you kind of pay attention to what's going on, the more it'll all start to make sense. Amherst Holdings, Pretium Partners, Invitation Homes, Progress Residential, all these major real estate players.
19,000 homes are owned by 3 companies.
Massive private equity firms like Blackstone and Pretium Partners buys or builds single-family homes and then rents them out.
They're gaming the system, but not the way in which many people are thinking. They're not doing it by raising money and buying homes cash and, taking away that opportunity to buy a home from a first-time buyer. No. Many of these companies, they have a variety of different shell companies. Amherst Holdings, for example, Progress Residential. What they're doing in Invitation Homes, they have 190 different shell companies from, resources that I'll pin in the description. 190 different shell companies across 10 different states. And they essentially do this so that landlord-tenant law becomes harder to comply with. So if tenants start to sue them for, not maintaining the properties or, maybe hitting them with some type of bill or hidden fee, it gets a lot harder for that tenant to seek justice, which is, kind of ironic because many of these Wall Street firms say that, injustice and inequality are, really big problems in our society, yet they don't play by their own rules, right? They want everyone else to play by these rules, but not them. And so the more you start to pay attention to what's going on, the more it will all make sense. They got major deals. I'm gonna give you a tour of Atlanta, by the way. They have major deals with these home builders, D.R. Horton, and all these major players so they can achieve their goal, which is to own 40% of all single family houses the next 5 years. So I'm gonna break it down for you. I'm gonna give you the full tour of Atlanta. Please hit the like button. When you hit the like button, YouTube will share the content, educate more people about what's really going on in America's housing market. I'm at a D.R. Horton community now. They own 24 separate residential single family communities all throughout the Atlanta metro area. Did you know 3 companies control 19,000 houses inside of Atlanta? It's pretty shocking. 21% of all homes sold the last 4 years were to investors, and they own 11% of all homes in Atlanta, these deep-pocketed investors. And so when you start to get a real clear picture as to what's really going on in the housing market, you'll see exactly where we are going. Let's look at this community, for example. These homes, they're selling in the vicinity of $400,000 to $500,000. So for this example, let's just call it $450K. They're offering a 3.99% introductory interest rate for VA and FHA borrowers. So let's say you put down 3.5% down on this property. You need closing costs, maybe you bring $20,000 to the table and you close the deal. Your introductory mortgage rate would benefit you so well that your monthly payment would be as low as renting a nice apartment, about $2,500, right? Except this time now you got 3 bedrooms instead of 1 or 2 and you own it. But here's the real kicker. The real kicker is if you are a residential homeowner outside of this community and you want to list your home for sale, you're competing with these deep-pocketed investors that can offer these rate buy downs. They can offer you cheaper home insurance. because it's a lot cheaper to insure a brand new property than it is something that's 50, 60, 70 years old. And so when you start to connect the dots, if you were to buy this home compared to a home outside of this community, it would cost you on year 2 $800 less per month than going outside of the neighborhood. $800, that's a lot of money. And that's somebody's car payment and insurance just by buying one of these homes directly from these builders. And so what these builders are doing is they're positioning themselves to essentially dominate, and they partnered with a lot of these Wall Street firms, these hedge funds. Now the properties that they're not selling, they're unloading in bulk to these institutions at discount prices. And what these institutions are doing is they're renting them right back to you. And so it's a never-ending cycle where Wall Street's getting richer and richer and richer. But here's the fascinating aspect of this entire transition, because that's what I think we're in right now. We're in a transition from where America was built on the middle class to where the middle class is no longer existent. Let's look back at 1960. 1960, you could be a mailman. You could have a wife at home, wouldn't work, have 2 or 3 kids, send them to school, buy them a car. You know, your house would be paid off in 30 years. Everything was great. You know, it was a perfect time in America, you know, compared to what it is now. Now, if you have a husband or a wife and you're both working hard, you're both making $100,000 a year, you probably can't afford to live in most American cities. You can't afford to pay off credit card debt or go on vacation, right? This is the world where we're living now, where living standards are just falling so fast and so rapidly. You know, what I think is likely going to happen is I think this trend is just going to massively grow in the coming few years. And what I believe is going to be the next step is a lot of these property owners, when inflation gets worse and the job market starts falling apart, they're going to be renting out rooms, right? We're going to start seeing so much rental inventory hit the market, not just entire homes, but bedrooms. People will be renting out living rooms. People will do whatever they have to do to try to bring in cash. And who do you think is going to capitalize on that? It's going to be Wall Street. They say that you'll, rent everything and own nothing. It seems like that is the direction that America is going in right now, unfortunately. I don't know how it got there, how fast, like this train is moving so fast. I don't know, people they're okay with it, it seems like. I don't get it. I don't see why people would want this, but every single month, every single year, it's just getting a little bit harder and a little bit harder and a little bit harder for nearly all Americans, unless you're in the top 5%. But then this big question is, they say that they want 40% of all single-family homes to be owned by these Wall Street firms. CNBC's even reporting on it. All the mainstream outlets are saying, yes, this will be a great thing. Look, if 40% of all homes are owned by Wall Street firms, you know what they're going to be doing, right? You think about this. If you are a Wall Street firm that owns this neighborhood, you know exactly who every single borrower is, how much money they make, and you're going to be able to start to find ways in which you're going to be able to extract that wealth from them. Not just by increasing, rent costs, but you'll probably be controlling, land care or the landscaping, lawn care. You'll be offering, all these different services, subscriptions. You'll be doing everything. You'll put solar on the roof. You're going to build them for the solar. You're going to build them for whatever it is that you want to build them for, to try to pull all that money out. And putting roommates inside of these properties, that's probably like a perfect situation for Wall Street, because Wall Street would look at that and say, you know what, look, we put 2, 3, 4, 5 roommates inside of a house, we're diversifying our risk. If rather than, let's just say Mary and Sam own this property, Mary gets laid off, Sam can't afford the mortgage, they're kind of stuck. But if you rent that house, and there's all these people living in there, this could be something that, I think we're moving into. I think this renter nation that, we've heard a lot about is just now starting. It's funny even listening to some of these people talk about this on television. They talk about the erosion of our living standards is a great thing. I mean, the CEO of Kellogg came out and said that, eating cereal for dinner is a good thing. We need to speak to our customers where they are, right? This is kind of the clown world that we're living in right now, where they're literally just coming out and saying it. Look, you can't afford to live, so you're going to rent everything from us. But this all happened. Some would say this started in 2008. I would argue that this whole situation really began in 2020 and 2021, where We moved into this period where, you know, we just think that everything's going to be okay and everyone's going to step forward and, you know, and the greater good and all this. Look, there's going to be winners and losers here, and it's quite obvious who the winners are. The winners are those that own assets, either have strong businesses that are putting themselves in a really, really, really good place, because if you think that, you know, Big Bro is going to come save you or save any of us, it's just not going to happen. It's not going to happen. The Big Bro is going to get bigger, and the everyday middle class is getting smaller and smaller and smaller by the day. So next 6 months, 12 months, 24 months, I don't think will be more, I think it's going to be more important than ever. In the next probably 5 years, we'll rewrite everyone's future. What people do over the next 5 years will determine the trajectory of their entire life. Because if you just look at how fast the world's changed over the last 5 years, where we're going now is moving even faster, right? It's moving even faster. You think that these banks are going to want to issue loans to a lot of people to buy single-family homes in the next 4 or 5 years with all the disruption that's going to be unfolding inside of the job market? A lot of people are going to start losing their jobs. They're going to start suffering massive, massive losses. The only companies getting loans, I believe, in 5 years or so, are going to be the big, big Wall Street firms. It's going to be these big institutional players, these hedge funds. I mean, you're going to have pension funds, you're going to have sovereign wealth funds, you're going to have tech companies. They're going to be moving and looking to deploy assets. And, you know, then they're going to be the ones that are going to be working directly with the banks, if I had to bet. What do you think about this situation? Do you think we're going to see a scenario where, you know, we're going to be going back in time to a 2018, 2019 event, or you think it's going to be more housing manipulation like what we're seeing here in Atlanta, where the everyday American homeowner, property owner, renter, seller, they're all getting screwed and kind of squeezed in every which direction? I'm betting on, you know, factually, that's probably what's going to happen. I hope that doesn't happen. Yeah, I mean, like, I'd love for that not to happen. But look at the facts, you look at the numbers. I mean, when they're buying 65,000 houses inside of Atlanta, that is insane. Like, that is absolutely insane. 3 companies owning almost 20,000 homes. It's nuts. But welcome to the new normal. What do you think about this situation? Drop below. Let's have a conversation about this. Please hit the like button. YouTube will share the content, educate more people about what's really going on in our economy and our housing market. And if you'd like to fix your credit to position yourself for funding, I think time's running out. Time's running out to build wealth. We'd love to help you if you have any credit issues, late payments, medical bills, charge-offs, foreclosures, bankruptcies, repossessions, any issue at all like that in your credit report. Go to greatcreditfast.com, click the link in the description just below this video, schedule a free call. Catch you next video.